am vice chair of PeaceWorks, and that is in Kansas City. We're affiliated with Peace Action nationally. And also I'm a member of the Alliance for Nuclear Accountability, and I'll talk more about that. It's a national network. And also Physicians for Social Responsibility, and I'm kind of the only one in Kansas City, but I'm on the PeaceWorks board as a member of that. So I've been a pediatric nurse. I had a 45-year career in Kansas City, retired now. But I feel very strongly against the health effects of nuclear weapons. I've done nonviolent civil disobedience 3 times at Kansas City's nuclear bomb parts factory. And the factory is called the National Security Campus, and it is one of the 8 major sites in the US that together make up nuclear weapons. And it makes 80%. They say it manufactures or procures, but anyway, it's 80% of the parts, the mechanical and electronic parts that guide nuclear weapons and set them off and make it work. And the organization I belong to, PeaceWorks, we hold a rally every Memorial Day at the plant to remember the workers there who have died making parts for nuclear bombs. The first thing to know about nuclear bombs is hardly mentioned in the movie Oppenheimer. It is that they use radioactive substances that damage DNA, causing cancer, birth defects, death. Children, adolescents, women are the most sensitive to this harm. The first atomic bombs used plutonium-239 and uranium-235. The half-life of plutonium is 24,110 years. Basically, it's poisonous forever. And uranium, the half-life is 700 million years. The plutonium that we manufacture, it's not really in nature. We make it. It is the most poisonous substance occurring in nature it's made in nuclear energy plants. And so there is a link between the two that it's kind of overlooked, nobody talks about it. And that is why accidents at nuclear power plants cause similar health effects as nuclear weapons. The plutonium pit, it's called, or the primary, is about 8 pounds. It's a sphere, and it is compressed in the bomb to cause fission. And that's where one neutron hits another neutron and it splits the atom. And that releases a huge amount of energy. The pit, or the primary, radiates the uranium, which is called the secondary. And that causes fusion. And that's where 2 atoms combine to form a heavier atom. And the types of these A-bombs, like I've just explained, were used in the Trinity bomb, the first bomb that was exploded in New Mexico, and on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The H-bomb, or thermonuclear bombs, use different hydrogen isotopes for fusion, and they release 1,000 times more energy, like the process that powers the sun. These types of bombs were tested at the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean by the US, and also the Nevada test site. And an excellent website to learn more about this subject is beyondnuclear.org. That's beyondnuclear.org. And 6 countries out of the 9 countries that have nuclear weapons have H-bombs. Radioactivity makes nuclear weapons not only deadly in their initial blast, but deadly for many years and across many generations, and that's what makes them different and so horrific. They are also highly deadly and harmful throughout their entire production cycle. So from uranium mining, to milling and processing, to production of the actual bombs, to testing them, which was done, about 1,000 bombs were exploded in the US, 2,000 worldwide. And then the waste disposal. And before US nuclear bomb tests were stopped in 1992, the US exploded 1,000 bombs in the atmosphere, below ground, and in the ocean. So in a sense, we're all downwinders. A permanent storage site for our millions of gallons of radioactive waste is a problem that has still not been solved. Since the 1980s, scientists have also known the health impacts of even a smaller nuclear war, that it would be catastrophic to life on Earth. Because nuclear bombs target cities, and the fireball they create is hotter than the sun, about 1 million degrees, they vaporize everything, even the Earth below them, over a several-mile diameter, depending on the size of the bomb, of course, and how close it is to the ground when it goes off. The shock wave after the initial explosion creates a windstorm of several hundred miles per hour winds that flings glass and other debris, ruptures gas lines, basically sets the whole city on fire. So the people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki who were not vaporized immediately suffered horrific injuries, severe burns to the point of being skinned alive and having even patterns on their clothing burned into their skin and having their eyeballs melt. Many died of radiation poisoning or leukemia days, months, and even years later. These survivors face long-term health effects across generations and social discrimination as well. The psychological and moral effects of being the first country to make and use atomic weapons in war and continuing to live under their terror are incalculable, in my opinion. So that has an effect on our psyche and our unconscious, I think, in my opinion. Nuclear weapons in a nuclear war would loft tons of soot into the stratosphere, circling the Earth in the following days and weeks. This would block the sun for years, causing temperatures to fall, massive crop failures, and widespread starvation. An all-out war between the US and Russia. We have 90% of the nuclear weapons in the world, or over that. This would cause a nuclear winter worse than the first ice age, or the last ice age, and at least 5 billion people would die of starvation. It would cause the end of civilization as we know it, and mass extinction of most plant and animal life. Physicians for Social Responsibility has a motto, prevention is the only cure. You can see more info on this at psr.org. psr.org. Because most cities would be destroyed, most hospitals and most medical personnel would be too. So there would be no help coming to the rescue. There would be no winners. Even the long-term effects of a nuclear bomb testing is now being seen in those affected by the very first Trinity bomb. A recently published study, like 2 weeks ago, I think, revealed that there was a 150-mile area of radioactive exposure in New Mexico, with 500,000 people in this area that were not informed before or after the bomb test. There are many families in New Mexico with 5 generations of family members who have suffered cancer, death, and birth defects. And also they have found that 46 states and even Mexico and Canada were exposed to radiation from this first blast. So for more information on this, you can go to an organization called Tularosa Basin Downwinders Consortium.org. That's Tularosa Basin Downwinders Consortium.org. And you can ask me afterwards if you didn't get all that. On Thursday, July 27th, 2023, the U.S. Senate voted to expand the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, or for short, RECA, to include the Trinity Downwinders and uranium miners and others in several other states. This includes many people in the St. Louis area from the illegal dumping of radioactive waste from the Mallinckrodt company, which processed the first uranium for the Manhattan Project. Kansas City also has thousands of nuclear workers from its plant who have filed claims for cancers and other illnesses. It had 2,400-ish toxins in its plant, the original plant. 5 members from our Peace Works group, including Rose, lobbied with Senator Josh Hawley this past April about the health problems in St. Louis and Kansas City caused by nuclear weapons production. So we feel really good that we helped push him to sponsor that. Now it has to go through the House, but still. And I am a member and a former president of the Alliance for Nuclear Accountability, or ANA. That's not American Nurses Association, but it is a network of 30 U.S. grassroots organizations that live near nuclear weapons production and waste sites. ANA lobbies every spring in Washington, D.C. after the military and nuclear weapons budget comes out. We have been lobbying against nuclear weapons and for cleanup of nuclear waste since the 80s. The government plans to spend, as Kathleen said, over $2 trillion over the next 30 years to remake all of our thousands of nuclear weapons, while spending very little to clean up the waste. In my opinion, this is why the U.S. has no universal health care, or free universities, or decent housing, or, you can name whatever human needs there are, unlike other industrial countries. So this is another way, I think, weapons affect our health negatively. And you can find out more at ananuclear.org. That's ananuclear.org. Each fall, ANA also has a meeting at one of the 8 major nuclear weapons production sites or waste sites. A panel of leaders from the local organizations inform us in detail about the local issues, and there's usually a tour of a local facility. We also have monthly Zoom calls to work on campaigns such as Back from the Brink, Schools of Mass Destruction, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, or ICAN, and the International Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And you can see icanw.org for more information. That's icanw.org. Most of the groups at ANA have Hiroshima and Nagasaki remembrance events, and Peaceworks will have theirs this Sunday, August 6th at 6 p.m. at Luce Park, which is near the plaza, in case you know Kansas City, in the middle of Kansas City. Many ANA groups also gave out flyers at the premiere of the Oppenheimer movie last week, and we had discussions and Q&A after the movie. And we are hoping the movie starts a worldwide conversation about nuclear weapons and results in a mass movement to finally get rid of all of them. Thank you.